What is up, Shiba Inus? Today we're going to be learning about Asic miners. For demo purposes, we're going to be dealing with the Innosillicon A4 LTCMaster.
This is the shell or computer case that it comes in. Nice and sturdy.
To your right of the shell is the main control board. On it we have hookups for 8 hash boards, 4 are spare, 4 fans, 2 are spare, and a 12-volt rail for power. While listed at the top, we have the IP reset button, RJ45 jack, firmware reset button, and your status and LED lights. It also has a shit ton of male pins on both sides of the board, and honestly, I don't know what they do, and we don't care. Over here, we have the 4 hash boards that slide into the back of the machine. On top, you'll notice all the heat sinks that deal with the thermal requirements. They have a tendency to fall off, so prepare to use your tech skills in the mining field. Fun fact. Each one of these 72 silver rectangles crunches numbers we don't care about. The number we do care about is 0.03125. That's how much each one of these bad boys makes a day. That's equivalent to about 4 Dogecoin a month. We have 2 6-pin connectors for power, and as you can see, mining can be dangerous, especially since we're dealing with so much electricity. After this one scared the shit out of me, I was smart and invested in a halocarbon fire extinguisher. To prevent the fire extinguisher from going off, it has 2 4-pin 120mm surfer fans that move around 250 cubic feet per minute. Last but not least, each one needs a power supply. They come in many shapes, sizes, outputs, and most importantly, power efficiency. The lower your power efficiency, the more profitable the ASIC will be. This Bitmain power supply had a PE of 1.54, which was great until the little bastard died for no reason. Now that we've gone over parts of the miner, let's talk about it while I put it back together. The Innosillicon A4 Plus runs 620 megahashes at 750 watts and is capable of mining script tokens. Script being the specific algorithm that said tokens run off of. For example, while Litecoin is script, Bitcoin runs off the algorithm SHA-256, so this miner cannot mine Bitcoin. That doesn't mean that you can't get paid in Bitcoin, a little more on that later. In today's ecosystem, you need not be burdened with what token you're going to mine. Services, such as NiceHash and ProHash, allow you to connect to their infrastructure and they take care of that on the back end. With the proper setup, your ASICs will be mining whatever the most profitable coin is every hour of the day, netting you the most bang for your buck. Moving on to wattage requirements, consider ASIC miners 100 watts more than advertised. They usually don't include the wattage that the PSU and control board use. That means that your power supply should be capable of its advertised wattage plus 100 plus 20%. Since ASIC miners are meant to run 24/7, the 20% wiggle room will allow your PSU to run at optimum capacity, not maximum, and it'll also help not start a fire. It's important. With high wattage comes a shit ton of heat, so you have to make sure that your miners are well ventilated when setting up. Machines that heat up die, and dead machines don't mine crypto. This A4 Plus without being overclocked pushes out approximately 3000 BTU of heat. That's enough to heat up your bedroom by itself in the winter. If you think that's nifty, stay tuned to my channel where I'll be building a whole house crypto heater. Finally, the control board is equipped with extra ASIC and fan terminals in case of failure. If you were to buy 2 of the same machines and one controller board failed, you can technically hook up a full nother machine to one control board, provided the cables are long enough. Speaking of failures, get ready to have them. Sometimes one hashboard fails, sometimes they all fail. Parts are replaceable individually, which is awesome. In time though, you'll find that having excellent solder and electric diagnostic skills comes in handy. This concludes the physical side of the ASIC miner, but it does leave one important question. Who the hell is ammo?
Oh boys.
With the cuteness over, let's go ahead and check out the software the A4 Plus runs on. The miner can be accessed by typing in its IP address into the web browser. The default IP address is 192.168.1.254. You may need to do some behind-the-scenes computer networking in order to access it, as your IP subnet may not match depending on your network setup. The default homepage of the A4 Plus is its mining status. Let's go ahead and review. In the summary box, we have your running time, which is just that, how long it's been on since last reset. Then we have your accepted and rejected mining shares that have been submitted by your miner. Rejections, as well as HW or hardware errors, happen when the miner makes a mathematical mistake, which isn't too often. However, if you are overclocking your unit, the excess heat and power consumption will inevitably lead to more errors. As a general rule of thumb, anything above 300 hardware errors or 1.5% rejection ratio, your overclocking isn't optimized. If you're receiving these without overclocking, you're looking at hardware failures. I'd happily explain fan speed to you, but I don't want to blow you away with my intelligence. Finally, we have the total hash rate, and that's your MHS. Think of it as a power of the machine, or basically how fast it can mine. Keep the hash rate in mind when we go over the Litecoin pool when we check our profitability. Under the miner info box, we have all the summary stats individualized to each hash board. If you have a board failure, this is likely where you'll notice that it's going bad. It also lists the temperatures, both min and max. Maximum temps for this unit should not go above 70 degrees. Anything higher may result in more hardware errors, as well as shorten the lifespan of the equipment. Finally, at the bottom, we have our pools. More on that right now, so let's move over to miner configuration. There are options for 4 pools. Notice that I have 3 pools, all with the same information, just slightly different URLs. In pool 1, I have the East Coast pool since it's closest to me. In pool 2, I have the West Coast pool. And finally, in pool 3, I'm attached to Europe. The West Coast and Europe pool are backups in case the connection to the East Coast pool could not be established. Below the pool section, we have frequency and voltage, which are the overclock settings. These settings are for more advanced users, so if you don't know what you're doing, don't touch it. Incorrect settings here can lead to damaged miners or even worse, your painful death due to a fire you helped start. The System tab gives you an overview of the miner. There's really nothing important here except the version and build date of your mining firmware. Under the Administration tab, we can go ahead and change our password to the miner. The default password for the A4 Plus is 12345678. The Upgrade tab allows you to flash new and custom firmware, while the Reboot tab reboots. Lastly, we have the Network tab where you can set the static IP address of the miner for easy access later. That wraps it up for the Asic firmware walkthrough, so let's go ahead and get to mining. For demo purposes, we're going to be using Litecoin Pool, so go ahead and open up your browser and head to litecoinpool.org. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, I'd like to introduce you to one of my best friends. Last name Calculator, first name Profitability. To check her out, click on FAQ, and then at the top, click once more. On the left-hand side, you'll see MHS, or hash rate. The A4 Plus, if you remember, is 620. PPS is your pay-per-share ratio. In this case, Litecoin Pool matches its own 280. And power usage is the sum of electric you're using, so 850 for the A4 Plus. On the right, the only variable in question is electricity costs. In my case, I pay 13 cents per kilowatt hour. When done, click Compute, and the profitability of the equipment is shown below. The A4 Plus LTCMaster nets approximately $5 a day for a total of $150 a month. That's not bad. Keep this tool and every tool like it in your favorites bar, you'll be using them a lot. To start mining, we need to know the URLs of the pools we are connecting to, so let's click back onto FAQ and scroll all the way to the top. Under step 3, you'll see a list of pools, and as well, your worker username and password. You might be thinking, damn, that's a shitty god-awful password, and you're right, it is. But for our workers, aka our miners, this lack of security is meritless and doesn't matter. Now that we have our pool details, let's head back over to the miner and update its configuration. Under the configuration panel, enter your pool URLs as well as the worker name and password. Every miner should have a unique worker name, as that allows you to see the profitability of each one individually. When done, click Save and head back to Litecoin Pool to verify you're connected. Head to My Account on Litecoin Pool and you should see your worker if everything was done correctly. When mining is active, you'll have many statistics floating next to the worker name, including a green speed variable to let you know that you're good. Every mining pool has different payout options and thresholds. Litecoin Pool itself pays out in Litecoin. However, an advantage of Litecoin Pool is that you're also mining Dogecoin. This is called merged mining. It doesn't pay out in Dogecoin like other merged mining pools, rather it just pays you extra Litecoin for helping mine it. If this video was helpful, send a like, remember to subscribe, and tips are much awesome, especially once you get your first payout.